I'm going to take some Roger Zelazny off the shelf and just look at all that. Zelazny's assemble! They did. To form a magic top hat made of books. What? Man, that channel got weird. I don't know what happened over there. Started off reviewing books, and then the guy went completely insane. Started building little things out of the books, and saying they were magic. A couple of these need taped up. I'll be mentioning all of these again. They have been mentioned, but I don't know, just looking at Zelazny stuff on his own. You know, this was one of the first Zelazny's I read because it's the top one that everyone recommends, and I really think it's the wrong place to start with Zelazny. It's a pretty challenging work. I actually think you should read up on what it's about before you read it because, you know, Zelazny can be really maddening sometimes in how little he described things. He was just rushing forward in those plots. I'm like, give me the world! I loved this book. I don't know. But I was kind of disappointed that I just wanted more description. And, but it's still a really provocative world. I think my friend Chris, who does the Liminal Spaces book channel, has a really good imagination. Because to him, this book is the way he talks, it's the most imaginative thing out there. But me, I was constantly I want more. Give me more details. That said, I did find a really great quote from this that I quote in an essay. Someone else underlined this. I didn't. I think that if something's going to happen, it's going to happen. I don't. I happen to think that the human will, backed by a sane mind, can exercise some measure of control over events. Love that cover. It's pretty incredible. What? I don't remember anything like this dog in this book. Why is this the cover? Because it's awesome. Okay, all right. No, I kind of remember something about a dog. Wolf or something. One of science fiction's finest and most frightening visions of the next century. It's very Inception-like, when a psychology engineer perfects an invention that enables him to enter men's minds, to experience their thoughts, and to manipulate their animals' lives. One criticism you could make is that the dream world is not very dreamlike. It's pretty much just a world where you can create anything. I read this intense all over the Southwest, traveling around with a wilderness camp during a crazy rainstorm. I was mad when that happened. But that's what I get for bringing a vintage novel. I remember really getting into this one. Thought it was cool. It's just a neat world. Why are the cats hissing at each other? Kitties. Oh, yeah, Prism has been hissing baby squirrel out of her spots lately. Why do you like that, kitty? Yeah, this is cool. Damnation Alley, the savage route across the blasted continent, teeming with monsters, deadly radiation, and insanely lethal storms. This one's all beat up. Still, very cool copy. Best cover. Love that cover. A mysterious road that has always been made by dragons. Runs from the unimaginable past to the far future. Heavy Metal liked it. That crazy underground art mag. Don't know what it's about. Looks a little fantastical. Oh, this is an Amber book. Crowning finale to the incredible Amber saga. Great, I need to get the first one. Strange messages flash across a student's mind. A novel of alien possession. Ingenious. The New York Times. Whoa, this one sounds cool. Doorways in the Sand. What? Likeable Fred Cassidy is an eternal undergraduate. All he thinks he knows about the Starstone is that it came to Earth in an interplanetary trade for the Mona Lisa and the British Crown Jewels. And Fred is accused of stealing the cosmic artifact. Sounds far out. I read this one and liked this one. Symbiotic. Tony Hillerman liked it. That's cool. How funny that Tony Hillerman read Zelazny. If you know Tony Hillerman's books, that's really interesting. That's one of the most interesting things I've heard about Hillerman, honestly. I read his memoir. It was good. And I knew him a little bit before he died. Hillerman came to one of my book signings. Pretty cool. I went to a couple of literary events that he was at. Talked to them and so on. Also got to know his daughter a little bit. Anne was very cool. Interviewed her for the Santa Fe Reporter. You know, I had this great idea that I would do an article on literary Santa Fe for the Santa Fe Reporter, and it would give me the connections to all the famous and successful writers that live there. Actually is a good idea. The thing is I don't think anyone I wrote about liked that article. I felt like I burned bridges with everybody because I had to be edited. you know? And so, like, I had long passages about every writer I talked with in there, and most of them got edited down. Some almost got removed. And, like, Anne Hillerman, at her request, I had not mentioned that she was Tony Hillerman's daughter because she's just trying to make it on her own merit, you know, and doesn't want that to be the lead in every article about her. I totally get it. And the Santa Fe Reporter added that in, and she was ticked off about that. Who else? I think. Maybe I was just projecting. But what's that guy's name who wrote Rambo? David something. His coverage really draw me in. Anyway, that writer was like almost barely mentioned in the piece. And then I had to go to this literary event that I had been invited to while I had interviewed and made pals with like all these people. Like Hampton Sides was one, a bunch of other people were. I mean, I got to talk to a lot of really cool people, good writers, and it was not a terrible idea. And like the article actually turned out interesting. You can read it online; it's probably on there somewhere still. Santa Fe Reporter is a really long-running alt weekly. I think it's the last alt weekly left in New Mexico, but it sold to somebody that made me sad. Who was it? Anyway, it kind of kickstarted like an era of depression, that article, because I was just like, oh, I just burned bridges with like all the literary people in New Mexico. I went to that party and I felt like nobody wanted to talk to me, and they were all upset with how the article had turned out. All these writerly egos. But I don't know. There's still people in that community I could probably reach out to for like a blurb or something if I had a finished book. And I'm still Facebook friends and will always consider a friend Sally Denton with Sally Denton. She was a great Santa Fe writer who's now a great Las Vegas writer. She also taught one of the best college classes I've ever taken, Hidden History of the West. And that class was like, we would always say afterward, that was like a river trip. We were all like bonded to each other by the end of that crazy class. Because we were talking about like heavy Western topics. Like we were hashing out colonization and water and all these things, racist genocides, and the class was really diverse, and we had like, it was just lively and interesting and intense. And there was a guy with an eye patch who talked always about secret government projects, like he was on the run from something. And one time I saw him flip his eye patch up and he had an eye there, and so I'm like, what? Here's my impression of that guy. COINTELPRO. And I actually learned a lot from him. But anyway, why did I go off about literary Santa Fe? Oh yeah, because there's a Tony Hillerman quote on the back. No, it's on the front. New Mexico really is an incredible example of the cultic milieu, the idea that sociologists had in the 1960s that everything pushed off to the side becomes a new center. New Mexico, with all its open desert and just being away from everything else, has really been a literal cultic milieu, in the same way that out-of-the-way beautiful places like Glen Canyon have been. That term is most often applied to New Age things, but I think it goes for so much of what's new. I think it'd be so cool to go back to school and get a degree in, like, anthropology. Oh yeah, this one's about Anubis. Pretty cool. Another Amber book. Zelazny is just cool. Sorry, I barely talked about Zelazny at all. This is more Amber. The one real world, of which all others, including our own Earth, are but shadows. That's a deep topic. Love it. And again, that book that a character reads in Phantasm, the exact edition. About an anonymous person in the future. Sounds noirish. Love it. I read most of this until the book started to fall apart. And, yeah. Cool, good stuff. I really like the one about the party that goes on forever because people keep getting cryogenically frozen and then just coming back centuries apart. Amazing. This entropy happens all around them. Honestly, it's such a good idea, the waking up over deep time. It's like, I'm glad there's more than one book with that premise. Like The Man Who Awoke. That's so good. There should be a million versions of that story, just like the Groundhog Day time loop idea. When you get a good idea, it's a genre. I mean, a really good idea. This is such a beautiful thing. I'm so glad I own this. And it's because For a Breath I Tarry's in it. Ugh, that rip is bumming me out. I gotta put tape on the inside, maybe only. This is a vampire robot story on the cover. Here's another book that contains For a Breath I Tarry. Very large array. But I need to get a standalone edition of For a Breath I Tarry. I want every version of it. It's just so good. High art in sci-fi form. A new myth of sorts. In conclusion, Roger Zelazny is a great sci-fi writer. For a long time, I thought of him along Ray Bradbury because I said they're both lyrical. I love that. And yeah, when Zelazny's at his best, he's like a very lyrical writer. And he does have very good ideas like Bradbury does. But you gotta have that little extra lyrical quality like Ursula K. Le Guin has, or like the best of these have. I mean, when work lacks that, that's why people say, oh, it's just genre, you know. But then again, sometimes you get sci-fi writers that just have really good ideas, and I don't know. My advice to all writers of whatever sort is get better, continue to pursue your craft, elevate your whole medium, you know. Elevate writing, elevate the essay, elevate sci-fi, elevate fiction, elevate the novel. Just like make it the best it's ever been, and like make the form a continuous exploration of form, you know, over time, because that's what art is at its best. It's like this amazing intergenerational thing. Baby Squirrel knows it. She knows it. Prismo knows it. Oh yeah. Prismo was a yard so trashy. I mean, seriously, where do we live? But me and the other people in this building have big plans for this yard. Maybe the channel will get to watch it improve. Let's hope. Everyone likes a positive arc, right? Here's the before photo. Actually, this is not the before photo. We for 2 whole days, me and the guy next door, William, we removed trash from this trashy area outside here. I'm petting Prismo. And you can still see the imprint of that bird on the window. It's crazy. Baby squirrel. Prismo, you're all cranky with your daughter lately. What's going on? This is your only friend. Until maybe we begin cautiously letting you outside once in a while. Just because you have been outside cats your whole life. This is new. This is being inside all the time. It's rough for you, I know. So yeah, anyway, I thought it'd be cool to just look at all this Zelazny, and I mean, I got 13 works that are just Zelazny. Let's look him up in the Mammoth Encyclopedia of Science Fiction. Zelazny, Roger, 1937 to 1995, USA. The death of Roger Zelazny in 1995 at the age of 57 marked the passing of one of the genre's most interesting writers. Zelazny first made his mark during the 1960s and was soon to become associated with the American New Wave. His first novel, This Immortal, that was his first, tells of a post-apocalyptic Earth where the immortal protagonist, Konrad Nomikos, is employed as a guide to an alien official. Indeed, the wastelands of Earth have become a place of entertainment for these aliens, the vegans. Vegans, probably. Nomikos, however, has other ideas and becomes a type of curator for the planet, helping to preserve the remnants of humanity. The novel won the Hugo Award in 1966, and deservedly so. It is a genuinely impressive achievement. Cool. His next novel, The Dream Master, why did I think that was his first? 1966, tells the salutatory story of a top psychiatrist who is able to enter and affect his client's dreams through electronic means. What is going on outside? It was expanded from an earlier Nebula Award-winning novella. However, it was with Lord of Light, 1967, that Zelazny produced his single most successful novel. Human colonists have settled a distant planet, but have developed a technology that allows them to don godlike personas taken from various Eastern religions, such as Hinduism and Buddhism. So it is that they reenact the ancient myths of these religions, battling for power on the distant colony world. Lord of Light won Zelazny another Hugo Award for its year. Outside of the sci-fi field, Zelazny is best known for his Chronicles of Amber, a long 10-book fantasy sequence that takes place on a plane of reality different to the known. The writing of this vast series took up much of his later life. The first 5 novels were collected together as the Chronicles of Amber, 2000. Zelazny's bibliography features a number of collaborations, the most interesting being Deus Irae, 1976, with Philip K. Dick. Oh yeah, Liminal Spaces has a few videos on that book, and you should watch those. It made me really want to read that. And Psycho Shop, 1998, with Alfred Bester. In both cases, Zelazny finished the novels from uncompleted manuscripts. My life is hilarious. Dick's because, for various reasons, he could not finish the novel himself. Bester's because he had sadly died before completing it. Of Zelazny's short fiction, the best can be found in the early collections 4 for Tomorrow, 1967. I got that one. And The Doors of His Face, The Lamps of His Mouth, 1971. Zelazny's writing won numerous awards and established him as one of the most successful authors to come out of the American New Wave movement. See also Alien, New Wave, Post-Apocalyptic Religion. Recommended further reading, Shiva 3000, 2000 by Jan Lars Jensen. In Valis, 1981 by Philip K. Dick. Okay. Here's Zelazny's bibliography. Some Wordle, The Dream Master, 4 for Tomorrow, Lord Light. Hey, 4 for 4. Isle of the Dead. Don't have that one. Creatures of Light and Darkness, Damnation Alley. I have those. Doors of His Face, Lamps of His Mouth, and Other Stories. I think that story, The Doors of His Face, The Lamps of His Mouth, is in 4 for Tomorrow. Yeah. I read the first two, and maybe part of the third one. Well, that was very helpful. Maybe I'll look up all the authors and read it. People should buy this book. The Mammoth Encyclopedia of Science Fiction. People are always yelling mean stuff at their dogs. Why don't you be supportive and loving to your dogs? Okay, well, all right. I think we're probably good. All right. Well, take care, everybody. Sounds like my downstairs neighbors have a problem with other downstairs neighbors. I want to go to this world instead. I gotta say, I'm really kind of enjoying working at my old high school in the admin office. I'm like, what on earth? I just work with really nice people. I like a lot of the people I work with. It's really cool folks. That can make or break a job. I've had jobs that just drained the spirit from me because the people I worked with were so miserable. Now I have cool coworkers. That's nice. Which is funny because I never would have thought going to high school at Monsanto that I would if I had been in the admin, I'd be friends with all the people there. I mean, I don't know. It's just starting to feel like that a little bit. But I gotta be a weird figure to people in Albuquerque. I recur in people's lives because of all the gig jobs I've had and all these strange capacities. To the degree that sometimes I'm like, oh no, I don't want to intrude in people's lives this way, you know? For instance, I once interviewed a famous writer and then later was delivering and picking up rugs for her dad. What? It's just weird. Because I had this rug job and, people own rugs. One time I was canvassing door to door for some political thing, and it's Save Otero Mesa, I think. Oh no, it was about working families. I knocked on the door of my son's teacher's dad's house. What? We figured that out from the last name in a minute. It was weird. But life in Albuquerque is like that all the time. Sometimes I'll see a number of the people that live in Albuquerque and I'll be like, that's not true because we all know each other. And I swear it's not just me. I see the other people who are working as secretaries at the high school I'm at. And I hear them saying stuff to people all the time. Oh yeah, that was my old neighbor. We went to church together. It was something. Despite cars, maybe there is a community out there, Yeah, I think a lot about the suburbs and cities. Those are big themes for me. And suburbs only exist because of gasoline. And but then it's our whole society has that space put into it. That same space that we've used to put suburbs away from us, we all have that between us because everything is paved over. And it's crazy. And we're super beings that can get anywhere really fast. And so we build our society for that. But we're actually these tiny little fragile beings that ride around in the super beings. Our cars are like our Iron Man suits. We can control the climate in them and the speed and shape the environment with the music and what we're hearing and light it up from within. And it's crazy. Anyway, the same phenomenon that cars have allowed to create in the suburbs, it's also created the distance between all of us. The 1995 Oscar-winning movie Crash was right. Sorry, Annie Proulx. You were mad that it won that year over Brokeback Mountain. She called it trash. And it's really received a lot of critical and hipstery drubbing over the years. I remember enjoying it, I think. They're like, it's so overt with the racism. Yeah, it's like an allegory about that. It's like a story about that. It's got Michael C. Pena in it. He's a great actor. That was Ant-Man 3's biggest mistake. Not having him in it. Anyway, sci-fi. It's cool. Unless someone cool is around, then you have to say you don't like it. Just kidding. No. I think, to me, Devo's song Through Being Cool is the ultimate cool manifesto. When you're through being cool, that's when you're truly cool. That's when you're yourself, That's that hygiene is important. Gotta add that for the young people. I just want to be myself, man. Yeah, but still shower. And you gotta take care of your teeth. I keep thinking about the neighbor saying that he sees my cats going out all the time, and I'm like, this is literally impossible. He must see other cats eating the food on our porch. That's what the neighbor's seen. But he's like, no, I met baby squirrel in prison. I think it's them. I'm like, what? So you can teleport, right? What do you think when I'm holding a rectangle up and not petting you? Oh. This cat demands pets. She probably wants to go outside too. Thanks for making me show everybody the yard, Prisma. Trash land out there. Oh, Prisma's so sweet and cute. This is my other pet, an old clam. Hasn't moved in a while, but I think it's still alive. And squirrel. When baby squirrel was a kitten, she was amazing because her tail was just as big, but she was this tiny little kitten. Like smoke over a prairie, or a locomotive approaching. Backwards somehow. Oh, Prisma. Something that's always stuck with me about Zelazny is I hear that a method of his was that he would stop mid-sentence when writing so that he could know exactly where to pick up when he got back. So he'd write for 3 hours, and even when he was at a natural stopping point, he was like, no, I got to do a little bit more. I got to leave some unfinished business. I borrowed that from him at times. Maybe even before I heard he did that, but I definitely think of him now when I do it. Zelazny. So he died in his 50s, huh? Yeah, you never know how long you'll get to live. Every day could be your last. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.